So we're working that side body attack series that we were doing, and you know, adding that fly paper choke. So in this position from side body, I was talking about how I like to open the lapel, and you know, I like to attack from this side of the left side of the person. The downside is opening the gi from this side is very hard because the way we fold our gi, the right's always underneath. So hopefully by this time the gi's already open. You know, I had the Passos guard, I get a takedown. But I'm going to start opening the gi if it's not open, and what I'm looking to do is grab the lowest part of the skirt here. My goal is to get underneath the lapel, so or underneath his elbow, lapel underneath his elbow. So if I can get here, you know, one thing that I can do is, obviously if his elbow's off the floor, I just sneak it underneath and just feed this nice and deep across to the other hand. And make that hand transfer. Like I said earlier, if I want, I can put my hand on the floor with the lapel and kind of posture up and give him that underhook. And then I just make the transfer quick and I lean back down, armpit towards his hip, and it kills that underhook. I'm no longer on his bicep, the crook of his bicep, and I'm on his wrist. And because I have this nice and tight, that underhook really doesn't serve any purpose because his shoulder is pinned to the floor and his wrist is pinned to the floor. So that's another way that you can set him up. And the third way that I can kind of set him up is I actually turn my head and I'm going to look at him so he can see me. And I'm going to start to gurgle because it's uncomfortable. And then when he sees that, he's going to start to push off my neck. And then I make the transfer and move my head back over. So you can kind of fake, I mean, it's not a fake, it definitely doesn't feel good. So when I turn my head here, and I kind of like push my head down a little bit, and then he can hear me like breathing a little bit differently. And he'll start shoving and exposing that elbow up. And then I feed this over, and if I can't, I'll bring my head back low, and then move, look back towards his feet again. So I have essentially that grip. So you guys can use any of those three kind of setups to get that hand transfer here. Okay? If the guy's really stubborn, he keeps his elbow down on the floor, okay, and he still has that kind of prayer position, and I'm having a hard time now like sliding this underneath, I'm baiting him, he won't go for the underhook. What you can do is just feed it over the top of his forearm, and I want to try to keep it relatively, you know, I guess like chunked up into a single string if I can. So as I go up, instead of folding it like this and have the entire cloth across, what I'll do is I'll grab it and then I twist it once. And then now I have a little bit of a twist inside the lapel, and then I feed it here. Okay? So now his arm is stuck in this position. And you know, I'm pulling the guy in towards me. I get a little bit of shoulder pressure. And this makes it a little bit easier for me to go to knee on belly because you can no longer push on my knee with his hand. So I can kind of slide my knee on belly here and then work my way into mount position. Or if I want, I can grab his far side knee and kind of pull it towards me and then step up and over. Or just step right into mount if I want. Just like that. Because his arm is going to be stuck in this position. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work that far lapel. The guy keeps his elbow down. We're going to come across. It doesn't get underneath. Just twist it once and kind of get like a little bit of a twist. That way I can feed it into this hand, nice and tight. And again, I pull the guy in towards me in this position. So we're going to work either to knee on belly, grab the far side and kind of step over, or you can just work your way up into mount position here. Once you get to the mount position, what I usually try to do is I don't base out too far this way, and I just kind of stay a little bit relaxed. And you know, right now this arm's stuck, so what a lot of times the guys will do is put his left hand in my armpit and bridge this way, boom, like that. Or he'll push in my armpit with his hand like this, good, to get kind of the pressure off so he can pop his head out from underneath. So that happens a lot here. So anytime I feel that guy do that, I base a little bit wider and then I jump my knee over the top and I go into the kind of S mount position. So I was able to clear over his arm with my knee because it's stuck here. So I just kind of eat over the top. I turn perpendicular to the guy. I've got that S mount position with the arm stuck here. And I can transition to the triangle mount, or I can triangle. I can come back and attack the Kimura. So on and so forth. So here. You guys will break up with your partners. Open, over the top twist, and then working with knee on belly and mount. If the guy bridges by pushing with your armpit, just step up over nice and high, and then I kind of clear this arm backwards so it's not stuck there anymore. And then get perpendicular with my partner, and my left foot will be active here. That way I can really push back towards it. From here again, I can go triangle if I want to lay back. I can pull back and go to omoplata. We got some options there. Okay, so let's work that first one. 1, 2, 3. So we do the same thing. You know, I'm trying to go underneath. Again, the goal is to go underneath. That way I can get kind of underhook control. Let's say I'm not able to do that. We go over the top again, and I feed this here. Okay. And sometimes when I'm here, the guy's, the initial reaction is for the guy to like kind of just extend his arm, and obviously he can't. But once they kind of figure out that like, and it's not always the case, it kind of depends on how I'm holding the grip, how low this is on his elbow. But sometimes guys are able to like just shoot their hand straight up like they're raising a hand. Yep, and they can escape that way. So what I'm gonna do is, most of the time, I'd say like 70% of the times they don't really go that way, but some guys will figure out like, oh, I can shoot my arm straight. And as soon as the guy starts to shoot the arm straight, I'm gonna start to slide my chest up towards his kind of collarbone area, and then hook my bicep underneath his tricep. That way, I occupy that space, and his hand or his arm can't go back down anymore. Okay? And this one, Rob and Joe were kind of playing around with. What they were doing from here is switching. So my right hand, I'm feeding back to my left hand here, and I still have his arm controlled. And then now I can loop around and look for the key lock. And as I do this, I'm gonna start leaning up forward. And then once I get that key lock grip, I'm just going around and grabbing this position. So if this all wasn't here, I just have the essential same key lock grip here. And in this position, what I'm gonna do is rotate my hand down so his thumb goes up toward the ceiling, so I'm really getting that nice rotation. And then I'm looking to pull his elbow towards his belly button while keeping his hand flat on the floor and lifting my left elbow off the floor. If I want to get a little extra leverage, I can open up my hips towards his hips, so I do the crocodile walk, facing his hips, and now I can really turn and follow through that swing. So again, we're here. I open up that lapel, boom. I feed it to this hand, nice and tight, and the guy starts to raise his arm up. I slide my chest up on his chest and occupy underneath his arm. Make the transition switch, so lapel to the other hand, and then now I'm gonna lean up, so I can really get my head kind of on his hand to keep it flat. Grab the wrist, and then just rotate my other wrist and re-grab. So again, it's gonna look like this underneath all this. From here, I can crocodile walk towards his hips and go down to finish in that position. So I'm going into the key lock when the guy raises his hand in that position. 1, 2, 3. From this position, what I can do is I can start to elevate up to knee on belly here. And if I pull this too tight, I won't be able to grab anything. But if I keep, it's hard to do this without compromising your base, but I'm gonna have this grip, elevate, and keep this grip on this side, and then go palm up and grab that same grip. And then from here, I can just drop towards his head and go for the baseball choke there. But again, if I keep this grip too tight and underneath his back, I won't be able to grab with my left hand. So the principle with a lot of these chokes, once I grab the lapel, is I grab tight and then I can slide down to where I need to later. So I initially made that hand transfer tight so it kills his underhook. I elevate up and I can slide this here, okay, just as long as he doesn't pop his head out. So in this position, I keep my elbow down, like very low to the floor, and I go palm up here. Okay? And then I'm just gonna drop this elbow down. I can finish in this position, or step over and then get kind of here to finish. I'm gonna come over here again, deep again, and now we're gonna spin around. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is bring my left hand to his near side hip. Boom. So that blocks him being able to follow me when I start to move. When I start to move here, I'm gonna elevate my kind of tripod up, and I start to walk around. And as I walk around, I'm gonna relax this grip to where I need to. So I come here, I start walking around, bring my head to the other side, and I'm gonna start to relax my right hand to the point where I can pull my hand so my blade is right next to his carotid artery. If I keep this too tight, it'll be too deep. So I'm here and here, okay? And I'm really on my knee here and driving my right shoulder to his body. And the guy's gonna be turning up towards me anyway, this way. Okay? So in this position, I have to have this pulled up tight next to his neck. Okay? So I don't want it like way back here. I want it in the collar choke position. In this position, if I want, I can try to just finish by going around his neck, grabbing the lapel and just squeezing downwards. Or a lot of times the guy starts to push off my shoulders or off my hip. And when he does this with this hand, I just take the top hand and rotate and put my chest right on top, and then I hug underneath his head. So the key with this hug here is I can't go around his face. Don't put your bicep on his nose. Okay? I want to try to get my forearm underneath his neck. So what I'll do from here is lean. And then once I lean, my left elbow is underneath his neck again. And now I can get that nice choking position. So we'll do that last one again. Okay. So I'm here. I do use any of those three to kind of set up. Let's say I do the underhook one where I just put this here. I elevate, he gets the underhook on me. Yep. Boom. And I make that feed here, nice and deep. Okay. My left hand starts to swing around here. Okay. I move around, bring my head over to the other side, and I relax. I'm cutting grabbing as low as I can so I can pull this in. I should be on my knee, getting that nice lean, and I'm almost putting myself in a key lock position. Okay? The more I turn my shoulders this way, the more pressure I'm going to put on my wrist. The more I turn here, the easier it will be on my wrist. Okay? So I just go underneath his neck, pressure here. If he pushes off my shoulder or my hips, I just pull, chest on top, get underneath his neck, and I lean again. And get underneath to get that squeeze to finish there. Okay? That's a nice choke to add to that baseball cutter choke. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. So, you know, we posted this up recently, but we're gonna work the same attack we did. So using the same setup again, I can look this way and kind of gurgle. I can keep this here and elevate and give him the underhook and then make the feed, whichever one. Or, you know, the guy has his elbow already up and I can feed comfortably. So in this position, I get this grip tight again. So again, I always want to grab more than I can, more than I need, and then I can make the adjustment later instead of grabbing less and then needing more later. Okay? Life lesson there. It's with money too. So you're gonna take your left hand and you're gonna slide back. Okay? And as I slide back, you know, I don't want to rake across his stomach, but I'm just looking for this lapel grip, and you know, it should be laying right here. So I just reach back, you know, I don't want to kind of like swing my arm here, just kind of pull your elbow across his body. I find the lapel grip, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this at a 45-degree angle from his like arm and his torso here. So I pull at this angle here. If I pull down towards his hips, I'm going to run out of space for my knee to eat on top of that thick part of his lapel. So I'm going to pull here, and now I can get my knee as close as I can, like right next to his armpit. That's where my knee's going. And when I put that knee on that cloth here, I should feel, you know, that thick part right on the knee, and it's gonna be way up here in his armpit. So again, we're here. I make the feed to the opposite hand, transfer, boom, nice and tight. I grab here, and then I'm gonna start to pull this 45 degrees from his body. But if you notice, my leg's in the way. So it's because I'm sitting here. If I pull this way, I'm actually going the way that I said it's not as good. So I'm going to actually pull in between my legs here. So when I'm leaning here, my left hand, after I grab the lapel, I'm going to shoot between my legs. Now I'm going to take my left leg, because I can't go through my arm, I'm going to extend it back and then elevate up. Okay? Just like I'm doing here on the other. So here, kick back, elevate up. And once you guys kind of get this motion, you can really set it up in one position, really get to this quick. Okay? When I first was kind of messing around with this, I sat here, and I'm like, man, it's not tight, not tight. There it is. And once you get, you know, it took a little while for me to like really find that perfect spot. But once I get here, I'm putting like 80% of my weight on that left knee. Okay? Then I elevate up here. So now Brandon's going to try to run away from me. And he can't because of my left knee. He's going to try to run towards me. And he can't because of this grip here. The only thing that he can do is try to duck his head underneath this way. Okay? So what I'm going to do is make sure that my elbow is tight in this position. From here, when he starts to bridge towards me, I'm going to drop my shoulder just like that last one we did. So here, and then I make the transfer to the other side, this position. Okay? And then now, essentially, we're doing the same baseball choke here. And then what I like to do here is just, instead of grabbing this cloth, I'll just try to get my forearm in front of his neck. So I grab fairly shallow on his shoulder and bring my elbow in front of his neck. Okay? And then I'm vicing down this way to get the finish. If the guy keeps his head up here, I can either just put my like palm right on his hairline and shove his head this way. And then now I put my knee in place, and then I come back with the elbow in front of his neck. Or I can reverse that order. He keeps his chin down. I'm having a hard time finding this. I just put my knee in front of the top of his head, and I just kind of kick and extend my leg. Then I can come here. And I can get the choke. So once I grab here, my left elbow will start to move this way. And my right hand is going to go downwards. So here, my left elbow comes up, right hand comes down. Start from the beginning one more time. Over here, I get the feed underneath his elbow here. Boom. I reach back, I find the near side lapel in between my leg, fully extended, and now I kick my left leg, and then find that lapel as close as I can to his armpit and elevate. He tries to bridge away from me, stuck, he comes in towards me. That's when I drop my shoulder and make the hand transfer here. Okay, I can shove his forehead, knee, and then go for the choke here, or I can go foot, extend, and go here. Okay. Try not to smash him in the nose with your hands or your knees. Okay, all right, let's go 1, 2, 3. This will be our last one.